Welcome back, New World Fantasy Football. Just Drewski tonight. Paul is still on vacation, enjoying his time out there in Seattle, eating lots of fish and drinking coffee and not watching the Seahawks play. But yeah, so just going to be a quick recap. Got some handy dandy notes here that I'm going to be referring to. But before I do that, I'd like to give a shout out to Blackjack Breaks on Facebook. It is meant for trading cards, breaking open packs, seeing all kinds of cool cards. If you're into that kind of thing, check it out, man. It's pretty cool. You know, making a little side business. You can trade back and forth, make some money, or hey, complete some collections of teams, whatever you want to do. Pretty cool though. I definitely recommend checking them out. So I'll drop the link in the description for that. So yeah, let's just start off with a little bit of recap from week 3. So I'm gonna start off with just Najee Harris. God, he is just not very good, not very good at football. He's just extremely slow and hard to watch. It's like they even showed a graphic, and I should have looked it up before I did that and put in my notes, but I totally forgot. But there was a pretty savage graphic that was put on the broadcast of like yards yards over expectation for a running back. So if you don't know what that means, basically it's PFF type analysis where the amount of yards that a running back should get on any given play based off blocking and all kinds of other things and whatnot. And he has like the lowest in the league, and you really see it. You really see it. So, I don't know, man. What would you rather watch, like Najee or Old People Bang? Would you rather watch Najee or paint dry? Man, it is awful. It is awful. And I like him. I think he's a cool guy. He seems like a cool guy. Anytime I've seen interviews with him, but man, in terms of a fantasy football player. He's not a player, but you know what I mean. A fantasy football asset. Gosh, he's got to be the most. He might be the worst pick in fantasy by the end of this year. That isn't an injury. Sometimes that's even better because you'd almost rather have an injury than just a player who's not doing anything, because you feel, based on where you drafted him, you almost feel like you have to start him, and you really don't. By the way, if players aren't working out, just draft capital doesn't matter anymore. Just you got to get over it. Garrett Wilson's probably being benched in plenty of leagues, and it kind of makes sense if you've got better options. Yeah, kind of leads me into one of my next topics. Zach Wilson. I want to look up bets of when does he get benched on Sunday Night Football. They've got the Chiefs. Yeah, they're in MetLife, or hashtag JetLife Stadium, whatever. I don't know how long Zach Wilson's going to last out there. I feel like being on national TV and the heat that not only he's getting himself and Robert Saleh is getting, and I'm sure Nathaniel Hackett, you name it, fighting on the sidelines, guys are discouraged. They don't believe in Zach, and they shouldn't, because he just doesn't have what it takes to play quarterback, especially being a starting quarterback in the NFL. There's only 32 of those jobs available in the world. He should not have one. He might be actually, you know what? He is the worst starting quarterback in the NFL currently. And yeah, they should. I mean, honestly, I feel like we're going to get some kind of Ryan Leaf type documentary in 10 years, after Zach's career. I don't know. Maybe he'll be an adult actor and do his MILF porn or something like that, because I've heard he likes those types. That's his type. But yeah, it's pretty rough. Speaking of the Jets, Brees Hall, under 50%. Under 50%. 1.5 yards per carry in that last game against the Patriots. And the week before that, he made it a note, 4 carries. Man, I guess the O-line in the other New York on the Jets is just really sad. And it's a shame to see all these skilled players getting wasted for fantasy when, man, if Rodgers was just healthy, and that's just going to remain the what if all year, and hopefully not forever. I don't think so. I think Rodgers will come back and play. So yeah, expectations. Actually, sorry, I wanted to make one more note. I would like to give credit to my absent partner here, and this needs to be a hashtag here in fantasy circles. Hashtag never Najee. He's been saying that for a while now, and he's absolutely right. Najee Harris is not to be drafted. Really, I mean, he should be like in the backup realm at this point. Steelers, you gotta move on from the guy. I mean, not in terms of like don't like cut him from the team, but you got to move on to Jalen Warren. I mean, really, he is just so much better. Even the eye test. I'm not going to throw a bunch of stats out there. Honestly, I didn't research that. It's just so obvious at this point that Jalen Warren is just a better, more explosive player. And watching that Monday night game was just like, or sorry, Sunday night game, excuse me. Watching that Sunday night game between the Steelers and the Raiders, I think Najee got like roughly 20 carries. And I just felt like every time he touched the ball was a wasted opportunity for the Steelers. Like, they could have been having a better play if Pickett would have dropped back or, Warren was in the game. It just felt like it was a waste of a play. But they're so just dedicated to putting him in, and I don't know. So anyways, I kind of jumped around there. My notes are whatever. Quickly just say, put down the roses on the casket for this year of Mike Williams. Unfortunately, I know there's another Mike Williams, the former Bucs receiver who's in the news. And this Mike Williams on the Chargers that was relevant, very relevant for fantasy, unfortunately is going to be out for the season with torn ACL. How much does it hurt Herbert now? I don't think it's going to be too much, because he's got other players on that team that are capable. Palmer's okay. He's capable enough. I think that Justin Herbert trusts him. And when they get Eckler back, maybe sooner rather than later, I don't know. Kind of hoping he doesn't come back too fast, because I got a matchup that I would rather not see Austin Eckler. But hey, that's not my luck. I have bad luck in fantasy, so at least I have lately, with injuries and just bad matchups and all that. So that's my vibe. I've been actually 0-3 in my major league, my main league, and it's kind of depressing. So yeah, unfortunately, Mike Williams is going to be out for season, and that is quite a shame. Devon Achane, expectations. Let's be real. Let's try not to be too emotional about this. First off, waivers. There will be people that drop the entire bucket of cash all over his face, and they will take him. They will have him on their roster. I think that Miami is obviously a fantastic offense. They've proven that multiple times this season already in only 3 weeks. I think they're going to continue to prove that they are a great offense. Mike McDaniel is, an evil scientist back there cooking up beakers and whatever else, chemistry set stuff, I forget. Bunsen burners of concoctions to get awesome fantasy days from a lot of his players. I mean, really, obviously Tyreek Hill is pretty much a lock to get you 20 points every week. I mean, really, he's even half PPR. The dude is going to get over 100 yards. He should get over 100 yards almost every game. I mean, really. And then he's obviously a touchdown threat as well. There's a very good chance Tyreek ends up the number one receiver in fantasy this year. we'll see. The rumors of not Justin Jefferson, but Kirk Cousins leaving the Vikings if they keep losing. Who knows? I mean, fans and sports radio likes to dream up these scenarios that don't actually happen. But yeah, I mean, obviously Jefferson will be right there with Tyreek Hill, but those two seem like the most bona fide receivers in the league and fantasy. If you've got them, you're in good shape. Somebody to be a little bit worried about, possibly. I'm a bit worried about him. Would be Derrick Henry. Is the tractor breaking down? You know, he only got 38% of snaps. He was outsnapped by Spears. That's the second time that's happened this year. And I don't think it's really a talent thing per se, as much as it is just like a game script thing. And the Titans are getting into negative game scripts for them. They're not really able to play their game. And they're having to, kind of play up tempo, throw the ball more than they want to. And Tannehill doesn't look good. And Burks doesn't look good. So, Hopkins is Hopkins, but he's a good player, but he's pretty much more of a possession guy at this point. But I mean, one of the best. I mean, he's kind of like another version of how Michael Thomas is now, if you ask me. And nothing wrong with that. Not hating on the guy. Many, many, many great seasons from DeAndre Hopkins, but he's starting to get up there. He's played a lot of football. But anyways, yeah, I mean, it might be time. I mean, everybody knows that the cliff for running backs is pretty much that 29 to 28, 29. Some guys can do it past 30. Funny that I say that. Raheem Mostert had himself a fantastic day, and he's 31 years old. So, but he's also in a great system that fits his skill set, and they get to play their game and blah blah blah. So, it's a bit scary right now. I'll get to the point where I have a list of players where I'm a little worried about going forward. So with that, moving on. I got a nickname for a certain player, and I like it. You might not like it. You may think it's stupid, but I like it. And that man is Mr. Nathaniel Tank Dell, a.k.a. the War Laptop. It speaks for itself. If I was a stand-up comic, I'd probably be hearing crickets. But, hey, I like it. I think it's a cool nickname. And, I think that his ceiling is pretty high. These are the kind of guys you want in fantasy. And NFL teams want. Talented players, receivers especially, talented receivers who have the ability to beat a team deep and put points on the board right away. If you can just put points on the board, boom, 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 and it takes one or two plays to score points, that is that's the best recipe, because you see teams like, my team, the Giants, they for a long time haven't had explosive plays, and you see, I don't know, certain teams. I guess Atlanta's one of them. Atlanta's played fine, but the better, the more plays you have to run to score, it's not ideal, because you're giving the defense a chance to create a big play, create a sack or a turnover, or more snaps that you can get a penalty on. It opens the door more for negative things to happen on the offensive side of the ball. It can be awesome to watch a team like perfectly operate. I think the Bengals had one last night where it was like a 14-play touchdown drive, and that can be awesome to watch. But ideally, the coaches would rather it be a 3 or 4 play drive. I mean, 1 play drive, but that's not realistic. But if it can be a 5, if you're averaging like 5 or 6 plays per offensive possession, I didn't see the numbers, but Miami must have been like something like 4 plays per possession last week, scoring 70 points. Wow, just an insane of a game. But anyways, Tank Dell is a guy who I really like the explosive nature of his game. He seems to be pretty polished already, even as a rookie. And the most important thing is that CJ Stroud, who actually looks good, has his trust. He trusts Tank Dell plenty, and it really shows. 10 targets in week 2, 7 targets in week 3, 5 catches, 145 and 1. That is something that you're going to take home to the bank as much as possible. So, really like the War laptop, Tank Dell. Another quick note. We talked a lot in the offseason about running quarterbacks, running quarterbacks, running quarterbacks, running quarterbacks, running quarterbacks, running quarterbacks. I mean, holy crap, we kept talking about it. I know the Chief, my partner Keith, would, he talked about it all offseason. And I definitely did not disagree with that. It's pretty obvious. The numbers speak for themselves. Those tremendous 40 burger games, it's very hard to come by if you're not adding rushing touchdowns. You've seen 40 burgers last season by Lamar Jackson, by Justin Fields, of course, Josh Allen. These players. I mean, even this a few weeks ago when the Giants played the Cardinals, Daniel Jones, not a 40 burger, but like 33, 34 points with a lot of his running. And that gives you an upside. But I got to say, pocket passers are not dead. The top 3 quarterbacks in fantasy right now, Justin Herbert, Kirk Cousins, and Tua. So none of those players I would consider to be a rushing quarterback. And then, you've got Mahomes is up there too. He's much more of a passer than he is a runner, right? So, yeah, you don't. That's not everything. It's not everything, and it can backfire. So I'll give myself a quick pat on the back because in one of our drafts that both Keith and I are in, one of the leagues we're in, I had the opportunity to draft Justin Fields, and I want to say it was the 5th or 6th round. I think it was the 5th, and I was staring down Fields, and I was staring down Herbert. And I decided to go with Herbert just because I felt like he would give my team a better baseline. There would be a lot less up and down. I know that Justin Fields was capable of those giant week-winning performances, but I also felt like Justin Herbert was going to keep me in just about every matchup. Through 3 weeks, that's been true. And kind of the worst has happened with Justin Fields. And I don't know if he's going to be a NFL starting quarterback by next year. We'll see. Major issues in Chicago. That team is an absolute dumpster fire right now. I hear a lot of hype about Roschon Johnson. Worth a stash in dynasty leagues, absolutely. I don't really know how you're playing him as anything more than a desperation flex because their offense just cannot operate, and it's tough. And that O-line is terrible. It's terrible. So not only is Justin Fields similar to Zach Wilson to me, where they're a broken mentally, great physical skill set, but they're just mentally broken. And you're never going to be able to play NFL quarterback when you don't have the confidence. And I just don't think he has that anymore. Not right now. Hopefully he gets it back. We don't know. We'll see. I just know there's not a lot of time. There's not a lot of time to figure that out in the NFL. It's like you figure it out quick or you're gone. Unless you're Zach Wilson. And then, you're thrust into a position you shouldn't be in. For fantasy, though, looking at a few painful drops. There are players with big names that you can drop. And it's painful, and you struggle, and you cry, and you eat chocolate cake sitting on the toilet. But I think it's something that can be done and needs to be done if you want to actually improve your roster. So, painful drops for me. Jahan Dotson, number 1. Just not really getting the targets. I don't think that Washington offense is really going to be anything worth a damn for a while. They had a game against what? Um, they played the Cardinals, and then they played the Broncos, and wow, the Broncos defense looks like paper mache. And then they just got stomped by the Bills. So, and none of those games, Jahan Dotson, whether they were scoring, they weren't scoring, whatever, none of those games he was really able to make an impact. Unfortunately, Sam Howell's not looking like he can support Jahan Dotson. Um, Terry McLaurin is kind of low end too at this point. But anyways, don't drop Terry McLaurin. But Jahan Dotson, go ahead, drop him. Brandon Cooks, you could have dropped him last week, honestly, with the injury. I know he was not going to miss a ton of time, but first, I don't think that the way Dallas operates. While I'm talking about Dallas, I'll just throw Dak in there as well. Go ahead, you can drop Dak, one quarterback league at least. Go ahead, drop him. Dallas just doesn't operate based throughout around their passing game. They don't do it. They want to play great defense. They want to run the ball, and they want to play solid ball control offense with passes peppered in. And CeeDee Lamb can absolutely be fine. He's an explosive player, 5-6 catches. He can get you 100 and a touchdown. Yes, he's fine, of course. But the other pass catchers on this team, go ahead. You don't really need them. You don't need them. Jake Ferguson, just because he plays tight end, I guess you can throw in at times. Dak likes throwing to the tight end a lot in the red zone. Good luck. Good luck. You probably just another pit of, touchdown dependent tight ends that I talk about all the time. But Dak and Cooks, I think they're droppable. Yeah, if you ask me. Another one. He had some decent draft capital. Man, Traylon Burks. I've never been on Traylon Burks as a fantasy asset. Never. Not last year. I just haven't been. A lot of injuries piled up for him. He's got DeAndre Hopkins there on a very ugly offense. The dude's got 6 catches in 3 games. Like, just let it go. Just let it go. I mean, what? The first half of the first game for the Rams, Puka had 6 catches. This guy's got him in that amount in 3 full games. Just drop Traylon Burks. No reason to hold on to him. Let's see who else I got here. Juju Smith-Schuster, I actually dropped him like after week 1. You can just tell he's not going to be the focal point of the offense at all. He was never going to be the focal point, but I thought he could be used in the slot like exclusively and maybe get 7-8 targets a game. It's not really happening. And then even if he does get the ball, he's just not explosive anymore. So he's such a low ceiling player, kind of like both really, low floor, low ceiling. So you don't need Juju Smith-Schuster on your team anymore. Go ahead and drop him. Pick somebody else up. Pick up Tank Dell. You can bring back the ghost of Adam Thielen, which is awesome. Was happy to see that. He was one of my favorites for a long time. I feel like I had him like 4 years in a row in full redraft, not even keeper. Just always ended up with him, and always enjoyed it, especially when he could be in the end zone. So pick up somebody like that. You can take your shot on Josh Palmer or Quentin Johnston and hope for the best. But yeah, Juju, see ya. Who else? Oh, Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook, you can absolutely drop. The number 2 running back on an extremely disappointing, frustrating, pathetic, mismanaged offense over there on the Jets. I don't know, dude. Dalvin Cook, I don't even know if he wants to be there. So you sure as hell don't want him on your fantasy team. Drop him. Antonio Gibson, if you haven't already, go ahead and drop him. I mean, unfortunately, he's useless at this point. He's gonna get a few catches here and there. Nothing to cry about. Whatever, you can drop him. And that's it. So some players, I'm scared to start right now, and I have it as I'm looking over that. I'm standing on the edge of that bridge, And I'm just looking down. I'm looking down, and I don't know if I'm going to jump or not, but I might. And those players, well, I talked about them before. I'll talk about them again. Najee Harris. For everything I said before, he just feels like the same thing for your fantasy team as he is for his actual team in the Pittsburgh Steelers. Just kind of a wasted play every time he gets the ball and a wasted start for your fantasy team. So, yeah, I'm looking over that bridge. It's really hard to drop him because he is a starting running back, and those are hard to come by. I don't think you're really dropping him, but you should probably leave him on your bench and only play him in desperation times. Justin Fields, I talked a little bit about him earlier too. He's not performing, and everything that you were hanging your hat on, so to speak, drafting him, you know, in the fifth round this year was, well, he's going to run the ball a ton. There's going to be a ton of design plays for him, and he's going to be able to look kind of ugly, but still score me 20 plus points every week because he's getting 70, 80 yards and a touchdown on the ground. Maybe he doesn't score the touchdown, but even a 7 or 8 point baseline and some passing yardage, maybe a pick, maybe a fumble, but you're still getting a good baseline. So basically, Justin Fields was supposed to be a high ceiling, high floor player because of that rushing ability. And now it looks like he's kind of flipped that, where he is now a low ceiling, low floor play. So disappointing for Bears fans. We had somewhat of a delusional Bears fan on here back when we were doing our division previews, and he talked about the defense being good and Justin Fields taking a step, and DJ Moore, opening up this offense. None of it has happened. None of it's happened, and Justin Fields looks terrible right now. So, yeah, I'm looking over that side. I'm like, man, my fingers hovering. Maybe it's more done on your phone now, hovering over that drop button, and you're so close to doing it, but something stops you. I will note that it took him a while to get going last year as well. We'll see what happens. JSN, Jackson Smith and Jigba. I talked about this before the season started. Just didn't see him being able to usurp one of course not DK Metcalf, but maybe Tyler Lockett. But I didn't understand that logic. I guess more so the logic was, well, he's going to be the slot guy. He's going to be a slot guy. Which is understandable logic. But there's only so many targets to go around. And Seattle's an interesting, weird team. They're hard to figure out. Like Pete Carroll, it's like, what's he going to do this week? He still wants to run the ball. He's getting Kenneth Walker's seeming to be scoring every touchdown over there, and they're getting Charbonnet involved. DK's got to get his targets. Lockett is too good to take off the field. You've got other good players, underrated players there like Jake Bobo and Cody Parkinson. Like, they're all getting involved, and JSN's not as involved as we would have hoped, I guess, as a fantasy community. I stayed off of him. I was worried about that. And then, Gino had a great year, but he's still a journeyman in the league. That is he really supporting 3 fantasy wide receivers? I guess the hope is that he was going to instantly take over for Tyler Lockett, and I just never believed that. So his stats don't look good. I'm hanging over the side of that bridge with JSN. Khalil Herbert as well. Once again, back to the Bears, an inefficient offense. They just cannot run their offense the way they want to. And Herbert has had some games throughout his history, his career in the NFL. I've started him plenty of time. You got Roshan Johnson there, breathing down his neck. More of a split committee type backfield on an offense that can't move the ball, that can't score points. So, man, once again, just like Najee, very difficult to move on from a starting running back. Like, they are just so difficult to if you let one go, it's just like it makes no sense because you have to have that. You have to have somebody that's going to get carries to even give you a chance to score points. God forbid you need to start them. So yeah, you're not really dropping him, but man, I mean, I would be doing what I could to not have to put him in my lineup. So Khalil Herbert, sorry man, but your season's just not working out that way. I guess kind of a bit of a silver lining. They play the Denver Broncos next week in week 4. That could be a elixir for their offense, at least their running game. Maybe they figure something out and he looks good against Denver. But man, if he does, I'd be looking to trade him. And yeah, that's it. That's it. And Derrick Henry, he's also there with me. I talked about him earlier. He's kind of right there. Maybe the cliff has been reached finally. Maybe it has. A few guys I'm excited for. I talked about him already. Nathaniel, the War Laptop Dell. I don't know. It was just like instant fell in love with Nathaniel Dell last week. I was fortunate enough to pick him up before he went off. Actually started him out of desperation. Worked out. Love him. Think he's awesome. Hopefully I hope he's even a keeper for me next year. Of course, how can I not be excited about Achan? I know he says he doesn't want his name to be Achan anymore. Devin Achan? Achan? I think it's Achan. Like Jackie Chan. Devin Achan. How can you not be excited for any skill position player? Well, the ones that they use in Miami. I mean, holy crap. Is it going to be 70 points ever again? I highly, highly doubt it. But if they can be still pushing 40 in a lot of weeks, your fantasy team's going to be very happy. Get your Dolphins in. I mean, just get them in. Marvin Mims. I'm excited for Marvin Mims. More of a future pick. He's somehow managing to make it happen, but like score some fantasy points. He's a big play threat. Like, oh my gosh. Dude can be legit. It's just the team around him is in shambles right now. But Marvin Mims worth a pickup in redraft, and of course, I mean I know people already have him in Dynasty, but I'm excited for him, and I think if he gets a real chance to be featured, or at least across from Judy or Sutton, if there's an injury to one of those guys and Marvin Mims, they finally wake up, Sean Payton wakes up and actually like plays their most explosive player. Yeah, I mean that's gonna be fun. That's gonna be fun. I'm also very excited, and I've been excited since the offseason for Jaylen Warren. I hope the Steelers start to just accept. I don't think they're blind to it. I just don't think they want to accept yet that Najee is hurting their team as much as he is. And Jaylen Warren is a much better player to have out there. And I got to give him credit, too. I know this does not matter for fantasy at all, but he had a few. There was one player in particular, but he had a few plays where he single-handedly like allowed the play to happen because he made some nasty blocks protecting Pickett back there. I want to say there was one where he allowed Pickett to throw a nice strike to what's his name, to Freiermuth, and yeah, it was. He's a better player all around. So I'll stop talking about that. But yeah, I'm excited about Jaylen Warren. I hope he gets a real shot at some point this year. And then I'm actually excited for in fantasy and real football. A guy who I was kind of like indifferent about was actually C.J. Stroud. He looks good. The Texans are just completely 180'd. Did a 180, that sounded weird, 180'd. Did a 180 on their offensive philosophy, and we're like, okay, so this whole running the ball and getting stuffed over and over again is not really working. And they just quickly said, screw this, we're gonna trust our rookie, we're gonna let him drop back, and we're gonna let him throw the ball all over the place. And we kind of need to do that because, our defense isn't fantastic yet. They've got some good pieces on that team. Singley's out for season, unfortunately, or maybe not out for season, but I know he's on IR. And they just very quickly flipped the script on what our expectations were. I never thought, as much as I thought that there was value for like Nico Collins. I thought there was going to be value for Nico Collins. That was what my prediction was. If you go back to the AFC, gosh, what am I thinking? What is that? AFC South? I don't even know. Terrible at this whole thing. AFC South division. I was talking about Nico Collins. Like I like Nico Collins because I'm like, oh well, he's a veteran guy. He can be a security blanket for C.J. Stroud, and very quickly he's done that. Nico's been good, a lot better than expected, and then Tank Dell, very quickly starting to become a real thing. So, and then also last player that I'm excited about going forward is Jordan Love. I saw his first two games were really solid, and then really it was like it got more and more impressive because I was like, okay, he had a nice game. He got kind of fortunate with one of those touchdowns where it was like an angle route to Aaron Jones, the one he got hurt on, but he scored a touchdown on. So sometimes the stats look better when you just have a guy that is explosive and takes to the house. I mean, Brock Purdy has good numbers a lot because nobody can bring down Debo and Kittle and Ayuk and McCaffrey and all those guys. So, his numbers look good with him just kind of dunking the ball. Although he had a great pass to Debo, a deep pass one-on-one to Debo, which hurt my heart because I was playing against Debo in fantasy and my Giants got smoked. But, that can happen. But as the first 3 weeks have went on, I'm like, Jordan Love, he's looking good. And then still don't have Christian Watson. Aaron Jones has been out. Well, he was out for 1 week, for last week. I'm sorry, 2 weeks actually. He's been out for 2 weeks now. And so is Christian Watson. Jordan Love has been able to carry this team and do really well and make a fourth quarter comeback and beating the Saints. Like, yeah, I think he's got the right mindset and he's got a good skill set. So I really like Jordan Love. Really like Jordan Love going forward. So yeah, that's really all I got. Actually went on a little longer than I thought. Trying to keep the episodes to be somewhat to a minimum. It's tough when me and Paul get talking because we debate everything. Our whole friendship going back to like early high school days. I mean, we talk to each other a lot. When we get talking, we talk. So I just want to leave you with this. Listen, whether you're 0-3, 3-0, somewhere in between, have fun. It's fantasy football. It's meant to be fun. Don't let it ruin your relationships and get in the way and be addicted to the football and, always have to be like, oh, I have to be checking my scores every 10 seconds. Like, just chill. Enjoy football season. It's the best time of the year. If you're like me, the weather's going to start to get cool. It's going to be nice, just to enjoy the games, enjoy the fantasy season. Hopefully you win, but if you don't, have fun with it. Learn. You either win or you learn. So, not worth ruining your weekend especially not your whole week and all that. So, have fun and always live in the new world. Peace.